Jayo Rama Madhova Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Vrijanarandana Yashodanandana Vrijanarandana Yashodanandana Vrijanarandana Yamuna Tira Vadadi Yamuna Tira Vadadi Jayo Rama Madhova Kunja Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is the highest platform of consciousness, is explained here. See, anybody who is a reasonable person in this world is scared of death. Okay. Recently we had a case of two families coming here whose relatives have got cancer. And they know death is coming anytime, and inconsolable, and so sad. So anybody, now this is somebody else. When you're own, we have more trouble. You can imagine the situation. Nobody loves anybody more than his own self. Correct? That's a fact. And then when their own relative, they are in depression, imagine the case they will be in when their own situation comes of death. When doctor tells now 2-3 months are remaining, condition. So there is one class of people called animals, the beast. There are some human beast also. Animals have no idea of death. No conception. Even humans are like that, many people. Mostly they're like that. They never think, what is going to happen? I have death coming. Okay. We give the example in the colleges of a goat tied to a tree. And other goat is slaughtered. All friends are slaughtered already. And he's waiting, and master comes and gives some grass. And he's very happy. Grass today. He's not thinking I am tied to the tree, and any moment a customer comes, next he will hang me. Correct? But he's not thinking about it. He's thinking grass today, such a nice grass. So most of us are like that only in our life. We have no conception of death. In fact, death is a wonderful design of Krishna. Because everything Krishna does is wonder. Is wonder. And there is nothing, Krishna is, what is the best word? That is Krishna's feature. Everything Krishna does is so wonderful. So death is also wonderful in that way. It is a beautiful design of Krishna. Because the kind of people we have today, if death was not there, they will never become serious. Even with death, they are escaping. But otherwise, anybody understanding this fact that my life is going to end after some time becomes serious. It's a wonderful trigger to advance in spiritual life. Nothing is bad. Sometimes we hear about our own will come one day. We hear about some relative about to die. Definitely we feel sympathetic and all, but for our own self, take that news as a trigger to become serious in spiritual life. Just like those who are doctors, they regularly see in hospital, and it's quite common. Every day few bodies come out. Every day they see death. Actually, they should become so serious in spiritual life, because more and more they can know death is certain. Okay? Now anybody can see my great-great-grandfather, they are not there. My grandfather's grandfather. Forget name also we don't know. And the fact is that they died one day. The fact, it's a fact. and it's very painful. So this is a trigger. So there are people who are like animals, forget them. They never rise to the reality. They don't want to be pessimistic, but they are realistic. Okay, that is a fundamental principle. And then we have, people who become a little interested. We have the first level of religion, and that is Buddhism, wherein this is understood. Yes, death is there. And then, most of the people are on that platform only. The Buddhist kind of philosophy. Be nice, some moral principle. Be good. Don't harm other people. But the following is fully degraded, because even their chief, Dalai Lama, he also says, meat is so tasteful, I can't stop it. Even though he knows it is banned in Buddhism. Ahimsa paramo dharma. The main principle of Buddhism was to stop meat eating. Dalai Lama is a meat eater. And he knows it is wrong. And he says, what can I do? It is so attractive. Just imagine. What is remaining? It's gone. Their chief itself is gone when the whole religion is gone to gutter. But at least understand the principle. The principle was basically no knowledge of Satchidananda, not truth, no eternity, nothing. There is no knowledge of soul. Therefore Prabhupada says they accept Buddha and we reject his teachings. We accept Buddha because the incarnation of God, and we reject his teachings. Because his teachings are made for a particular time. Just like somebody is saying, how can you say that? God's teaching you reject. Just like Duryodhana was there. That? And Duryodhana was about to go to his mother naked. Mother said, you come and come naked. I want to, when I open my eyes, your whole body will become like iron. Correct? And Duryodhana, Bhima could not have killed him if Krishna would not have played that trick. So Krishna went to Duryodhana and said, Arey, what are you doing? Shameless fellow, going to mother naked. Well, at least we are Lambot. So you cannot say just because Krishna said it, that is the final absolute thing. No. So Krishna plays tricks sometimes. So Buddha played a trick actually. He gave, as we saw, other exam, that mostly people fail in the first exam itself. What is the first exam? That enjoy the senses, your life is successful. Most people are trapped by there itself. Even though they have an idea, they are seeing death is occurring left, right, center. They can never become serious about it because their senses will not leave them. That's why it's the three modes of material nature will nicely enchant them, and they are stuck there. Because they refuse to accept variety of beauty of Krishna, the beauty of the material nature will suck them fully, and they will be finished. They know it is wrong. They know it is nonsense. Just like a drug addict. He knows it is nonsense, but he can't come out. The foolish beauty of the material world is foolish and chant. Correct? That story is there. One man was running after a girl. So the girl wanted to teach him a lesson. So 15 days the girl took purgatives and laxatives and she lost some 10 kilo weight. Okay? What is your weight now? 35. Suppose it becomes 25. How it will be? Born like that. She became like that. And then after that what happened? That when that person came to meet the girl, he could not recognize. And she said that actually what beauty you're looking for is I have separated from myself. So what? You're separated in beauty? Yes. See, this pot of stool and urine she had kept collected. Enjoy. This is the beauty you wanted to enjoy. Even though we know this, unless we have tasted the variety of Krishna, of the spiritual world, this variety will drag you and make you mad. This variety of package of stool and urine will make you mad. So most of the people, they cannot pass an exam of Maya itself. Just like a dog, you go to teach him Bhagavad Gita, can he understand? No. His senses are so strongly holding him. He has to undergo so much experiential learning of consciousness. Recently very fascinating thing. They were studying the genome in human being. The genome, the information is 3.1 billion base pairs. That much information is there. One base pair is 1 unit of information. And the total information that is there within one cell in our body, there are 100 trillion cells. Within one cell, the information is 3.1 billion base pairs. So they thought because we are the most developed, we are the most intelligent, we have the maximum degree of freedom, that our information, correct? A man is most intelligent, our information should be maximum, they previously thought. So when they started investigating, they have come with a shock now. In some plants, forget animals, information is more. Some plants are having some 200, 500 times more information within a cell, one cell, than we are having. One plant which holds the record, the slow growing plant, has the maximum information in the cell. Now it's a shock now. Now how do you handle it? Now therefore we have to introduce, like Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says what? Bhumi apo anulo vayu khammono buddhi evacha ahankara ityam me bhinna prakriti ashtada. Now you see what is we are doing in science, the mistake we are doing. We are saying everything is within this Panchadhatu. In fact, science does not know Panchadhatu also. They know only 4. They don't know Kham. They don't know ether, what is ether. Therefore they say there is vacuum. Prabhupada says there is no vacuum in God's creation. Prabhupada says it many times. It will take them a lot of time to understand. What is this ether? They have not understood. Ether is not empty. There are 5 things, no? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Ether is God's creation. It is not empty, it is a creation. It is a material energy. There are 5 material energies, correct? Now what does earth, which is perceived by all the 5 senses, like this karta? I can see. It can carry sound. Therefore the snakes which are crawling on the ground, snakes don't have ear. But they can, through the ground, they can get the sound. So earth carries sound, correct? Suppose you put your ear on the wall, other person hits on the other side, you can hear. Particularly neighbors, when they make sound, we can hear through the wall. So earth carries sound. We can see, we can smell always. Earth has some smell. If it is gulab jamun, very nice smell. Earth, water, fire, air. ठीक है? Huh? Oh, sorry. Touch. We can touch. And then, what is remaining? We can taste. So, Gandha is overall. So, all the 5 senses can grab something that is called earth. This is earth. Earth doesn't mean mitti only. It's Bhagavatam explains that phenomenon. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have done it many times. Okay? Earth, water, what happens? Smell is not there, pure water. And then fire, taste is not there. You cannot taste fire. And then air, you can't see. So, one by one more sense, it is going out of your grasp. Ether carries sound. What is this ether then? You don't know. You don't know. They think they know, they don't know. They know only these 4 actually. They know only these 4. They don't know the 5th one. Some idea you have. You can send signal from some space station, it comes here. There is no atmosphere there. There is no atmosphere there. Air is not there. So there is ether. Ethereal space is there. But ether is not emptiness. It's not vacuum. They don't know the 5th element itself. It is said from ether air was created. What is this ether? Ether, if it is vacuum, you cannot create anything from nothing. Ether is some substance not known to science today. Mind not known at all. They don't know what is mind. They don't know what is intelligence and forget about ahankara. And then the soul is above. So now what happens? You see what is happening. When I think a person is just this panchadhatus or says chaturdhatus, because 5th they don't know. Earth, water, fire, air. They think I am just the brain. It's a fundamental mistake now. How do you solve this? Because the genome of a man is smaller than a genome of a plant. So when scientists are asked this, what they are saying, actually it is junk. Most of the DNA in that plant is junk. Nothing is junk. In Krishna's creation, nothing is junk. You know, once Prabhupada was in England. So he was in the garden. So he was asking with his king, fruit or flower, to one devotee. Prabhupada was always like a commander, he was an acharya. He has to take that role. What is this? Fruit or flower? So when a devotee was there, he was an expert gardener. Prabhupada, this is fruit, mango fruit. What is this? Fruit or flower? Prabhupada, this is fruit, like lemon fruit tree. Correct? And when they are small, you can't know. But if you are a gardener, you know what this is. It's a, whether, oh, Prabhupada, this is the rose plant. So he was explaining fruit or flower. Which fruit, which flower. Then what happened? Prabhupada pointed to a weed. So Prabhupada, that's useless. That's a weed. Prabhupada says, nothing in Krishna's kingdom is useless. You are useless. You got the point? Nothing is useless in this world. Nothing is useless. So therefore, try to understand this point that There is no junk DNA. There is nothing useless in God's creation. That is where the atheists get a opportunity. Just like they said in the body there are vestigial organs. In our body they have found nothing is vestigial. So similarly it's a bewildering thing actually how they can explain. It's not easy. It's very bewildering. So they have no solution actually. There is no answer. The answer is here. Answer is this. That mind energy, manaha, this energy is different from the panchadhatu, earth, water, fire, air, ether, which you don't know. Correct? Ether they don't know. They know only earth, water, fire, air. So mind is a separate energy compared to this. There are philosophers talking about body, mind, but they don't know what is mind. They mix up mind with the brain. Brain is separate, mind is separate. Now, even though, now this is my proposal, but it requires, if you want to present this scientifically to scientists, a lot of work has to be done. But I'm just having an idea. Okay, I'm just presenting an idea. It's in a very immature state. But you get this idea that we are finding our genome is much smaller than so many animals and plants, which is completely surprising because we are the most intelligent people with best degree of freedom. Our body is also wonderful actually. In no way it is less to any animal, looks like, correct? Or a plant. The point is this, apart from the body, there is something called mind. Now this mind in human system has experiential learning. It has gone through 80 lakh forms of experiential learning. You know? An animal, there is a purpose of the existence of the animal. Darwin said it existed because accidentally that form came. But point is nothing happens by accident. That form has a role. Now, what about extinct species then? They has to be there in some part of the world. Because every species is a value. You got it? Now you say, oh, this is the insect, let me kill. You can't kill. It's a sin. Because the soul in that, there was somebody who was yesterday telling me, you know, what about Buddha? I said, reject his philosophy, accept Buddha. We accept Buddha, he is the incarnation of God, we reject his philosophy. Then Buddha taught such a nice thing, ahimsa, but I said, what the nonsense he taught, nirvana and all. It was needed at that time, that is called chaladharma, cheating religion. But there is no need. See what happens, I give you this example last time. Just like you see the ink in this book. Suppose you don't know English, what do you see here? Some ink only. Just like when I see in a bus the Kannada written, for me I can't understand, for me it's jalebi only. For me Kannada is like jalebi. I can't feel anything better. One word I can understand. One jalebi like this, then another jalebi like this. I don't know. So for me that's a jalebi. But for you can read. It is written Suratkal or Manipal, correct? So if you don't know English, for you also it is some kind of jalebi only. But if you know English, it is some Bhagavatam. Otherwise the ink in a paper. So the information that is the ink in a paper becomes not relevant when you come to the higher platform. At a higher platform, this is Bhagavata. So similarly, when you come to Bhagavad Gita, the message of Buddha becomes not relevant, not needed. Why? Because Bhagavad Gita rather refines the definition of ahimsa. In Bhagavad Gita, we have discussed this point. Krishna says ahimsa is a divine quality. He says that. At the same time, throughout Gita, he is saying kill. Therefore, Krishna has changed the definition of ahimsa. What definition Buddha gave was nursery definition of ahimsa. A nursery definition. Just like every religion says, heaven, you go to heaven. Vaikuntha, there is no, you will not go also because they don't teach you anything about Vaikuntha. Be nice, be good, you will go to heaven. But what goes to heaven? Even heaven, what will go? Please tell. They can't tell you. What will go? Because they think body is everything. That's why they bury the body. We burn the body. Useless. Because they separate body and the soul, we burn the body. What is there? The bag of stool and urine, burn it. It is stinking now. But they think body, because they are not able to separate body and the soul, for them body is divine. And therefore they have that strange thing, one day of judgment will come. Absolute rubbish. And where from skeletons will rise from grave. When they told Prabhupada that, because most of the disciples of Krishna, Prabhupada said, rubbish, please, nonsense. What is this, you know? What are you talking? This madness. Have you seen in so many movies that they show that in those movies? Skeletons rise from the graves one day. That's their ending, a conclusion. It's Prabhupada said this is all sheer propaganda. That starting from that Adam and Eve, that nonsense, and this nonsense, both they have spread by sheer propaganda. Sheer propaganda. And this is a problem today. When the scientists are challenged to the fundamental flaws, correct? Basically what the scientists have done, they have made a determination. They have made this limitation to themselves that they will only study matter. And I'll tell you the problem is studying matter also. In studying matter, what they do, they have developed a philosophy called reductionism. They say that everything can be reduced into some equation. Now their meditation on God is like that. See, God means final truth. Absolutely. Correct? What is the definition of God in the Bhagavatam? Janma, the final source. So they are saying the final truth behind this existence is certain laws. That's what the science says. Correct? That's what we. So everything is God finally. So God has revealed to them like that. I gave this example last time. If you think this is a paperweight, it will behave like a paperweight. It is behaving like a paperweight now. True. So if you keep meditating this is a paperweight, it will reveal to you and you will be satisfied with it. I last evening, Sunday evening, explained this point. So point is that Prabhupada says we have to convince people by result. Because if you go up to him, somebody who is worshipping impersonal form of God, that happens in practically, including our own Hinduism or Christianity, Muslim, they all meditate on God as some impersonal form. When you meditate on God in that way, he is getting result in that way. He is satisfied with that. He is getting some peace. There is no use of arguing. You are wasting your time arguing with him. Similarly, if you go to a scientist today, and 99.9% people, they are attracted by the result they have produced. They have meditated on the absolute truth. Tapasya is there. Without tapasya, nothing comes. They have done tapasya, lot of hard work. And what is the meditation they had? God as a fundamental laws. God has revealed to them. They got the fundamental laws. It's not easy. You cannot get anything by a joke. Krishna reveals within the heart. You see all the scientific discoveries. What do they say? I was driving my car. Suddenly that inspiration came from nowhere. Many scientists sat with them. How did you get that idea? Say, I just don't know. Suddenly I got that idea, including that somebody got that sign of the Benz. Mata Smriti Jnanam Abhoganam. Krishna is saying, this my idiot son, he is not interested in a personal form. He is meditating on me as some fundamental laws. He is struggling. Finally, I am the creator of all the laws, correct? Some systems I am only creator. Okay, I'll reveal that to him. Take that much. And he's satisfied with that. And using that, they produce fantastic results. They made LCD, they made this table, correct? They made that computer, they made mobile, they made video games, and everybody is enjoying, they're attracted. True or not? So Prabhupada says, only by result, we can attract people. There is no use of arguing. And Prabhupada used to say, I take transcendental pride in the fact that around the world, my disciples are respected. Prabhupada says, he says in America, when the disciples are chanting and dancing on the street, so blissful, people get. That's our process, to attract people. See, the point is, unless somebody is attracted towards you, he will not submissively listen to you. Suppose you study, somebody studies, and he gets IAS, his #1 rank he gets. Every TV they go to interview him. What did you do? And whatever he did, including what food he ate, people follow that also. Correct? Everything they will follow. Whatever he did. So only by result we can attract people. In the same way, Prabhupada, if as servants, it's our duty as servants of Srila Prabhupada, by our personal behavior, by our realizations, correct? By Prabhupada's Krishna consciousness is a self-manifest peace and happy condition. Self-manifest. It's not artificial, like advertisement. People get attracted. Yes. And then teaching occurs. Teaching cannot occur on the platform of argument. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna was arguing with Krishna, Krishna did not reveal anything. Krishna was also silent. He was just talking in a friendly terms. But the moment Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, then only Krishna started revealing the message. Correct? The second chapter, Arjuna surrenders. What is the shloka of surrender? Karpannadopa upahata savava prichami tvama dharma samudha chetaha yashya nishritam bruhitanme shishya seyam sadhimam tam prapanna. We should completely surrender. That is the principle needed actually. So unless you surrender, so how can somebody surrender to somebody? Unless you can attract them by your character, by your example, by your realizations. Person says, yes, please teach me. He will not surrender. And if there is no surrender, no teaching can occur. In the colleges and all, artificially they impose that principle, correct? They will you get up when the teacher comes. Basically, you are surrendering. You are respecting the teacher. A teacher is speaking, be silent. It is institutionalized the whole process. But here it is. That's why we hate. Why we hate to be in the class? Because the surrender is not natural. If it was natural, we will be eager to hear all the 8 classes. Like Parikshit Maharaj, our Parikshit Maharaj, for 7 days he heard Shukadeva Goswami without drop of water. Why? In class what happened? We are very happy to sit for every hour. Okay, at that age it is okay. Our age it is not. That age, their children are created like that. You know, they surrender. What our parents say, they accept. Therefore, till 15 years is a very big responsibility to the parent, because whatever father says or teacher says, they accept. We had this example, you know. We had a small vrinda. I had once 8, 9, 10th class children when I was in Bangalore. So those boys are all of this age only. And all became expert. I was new brother. I made them expert Mridanga Kartal players first. They were very happy. What to teach? And then something principle. So they had an exam. You know, we had the Siksha, Shraddhavan, Sevak, Sadhak, Prabhupada, Ashraya. So all were chanting 16 rounds. That was compulsory. I made for them. All 8, 9 class chanting 16 rounds. Some of them are still now very nice devotees. Some joined also. So they had an examination to give. So the question was, how do you say Krishna is God? Prabhu said, full stop. Now, why you chant 16 rounds? Prabhu said. So all that age is like that. That's a beautiful age. Okay, so therefore, at that age there is no problem, because authority, there is a natural surrender because of it has been mentally, biologically created. You know, recently there was a case, I was talking about that yesterday to a student, in Amritsar, supposed to be the place of, you know, Golden Temple, very nice place. 11 boys were chasing a girl. So she was so relieved because she entered her house. But those boys came inside the house, beat up the parents and broke the bones of that girl, fractured. Now, if you ask me what should be done, first the parents of those boys should be brought and publicly they should be given tight slaps. If you cannot train your child, you have no right to give him birth. Correct or not? Natural family planning. This is called in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna also talked about these people. Varna Shankara. Now suppose you have a big organization. Do you think, can you give that fellow, any of the 11 people, any job? Including sweeper's job you don't like to give him, correct? Varna Shankara. Arjuna was very worried. Krishna, if I fight this war and all the men die here, who will train their children? Because definitely a big training will lack now, because parents are dead. At least all the fathers are dead. And the children's lacking training will become Varna Shankara. Arjuna was very worried about that. He was not worried about it. You look at it, actually Arjuna's anxieties, our anxieties are very civilized person. Krishna is dealing with a completely different kind of audience. You know, we don't want to criticize, but fact is fact. Jesus was not dealing with the same audience. Therefore, if you see the 10 commandments, thou shalt not steal. Krishna has to tell Arjuna, thou shalt not steal. Arjuna never steal. Thou shalt not covet others, steal thy neighbor's wife. Did Arjuna do that? Kidnap somebody's wife? No, he will never. If he speaks such thing, it's an insult actually to Arjuna. Thou shalt not kill means you are killing. Thou shalt, why you tell somebody Are we telling thou shalt not steal to somebody? It's an insult actually. Correct? Suppose somebody says, comes to you, please guide me. Don't steal. I'm a thief or what? Why are you telling me all this? Don't kill. What, I'm a murderer or what? Why are you speaking all this thing? But he had to speak that because that was the audience he had. So that knows what kind of people he was dealing with. Krishna doesn't speak. Look at the kind of anxieties Arjuna is having. It's a different consciousness. What is the shloka? Varna Shankara shloka. Jayate Varna Shankara. You see? That statement is there of Krishna. Jayate Varna Shankara. It's very worried, Krishna. Varna Shankara population will be. I was thinking in colleges I am starting now 12 session course on Gita. 4 sessions of first 6 chapters. 4 sessions from 7 to 12 chapter. 4 sessions from 13 to 18 chapter. Now everybody comes with the Gita with the notes and we learn rigorously. So take it anyway. So that time I will also see that these shlokas I remember. For me also good learning. It's a very important shloka in the first chapter. Other things in the first chapter are just setting the scene for the Gita. But this shloka in the first chapter is very important because it shows one of the important anxieties of Arjuna. You see how developed consciousness of the person is. It's not the same audience which. So now going back to where we are developing, you see most of the people you tell them they are like animals. They have no interest in any philosophy. They are busy. They have no conception of death. They don't have to think about it. Just regard them in a dustbin. Throw them in a dustbin. Little better are people. And they will say, we should be good. We should do nice to other people. And then at point of death, everything will be finished. Think about death. But then what is to worry about death? I will be finished. Shunya, Nirvana. This is very akin to the Buddhist philosophy. Most of the people today, the level of Buddhism may not be there. They don't know what they are speaking. But the philosophy, we know what we are dealing with. We are dealing with Tattva. Their conception of life is only to this much level. Be nice, be good, help other people, be merciful, don't give pain to other people. And the definition of ahimsa is very nursery definition. Because conception of self is not there. There is no conception of self. Body is this, whatever it is. And anyway, the self will dissolve nirvana at the time of death. It is just like saying, somebody is saying, head is paining so much. Take a hammer, hit on his head. He dies, pain is also over. He's saying, lot of pain is there. Kill him. Pain is over. So their idea of philosophy is called Shunyavad or Nirvana. You finish the problem. Somebody is saying boil is there, it's paining so much. Don't do anything with the boil, kill it. Pain is over now. So that is Buddhism. That is the philosophy of Buddhism. Very easy to understand. And then the second philosophy comes, this is to most of the people are not able to pass the exam of Buddhism. They get trapped. Chalayati. Because if you want to surrender to Krishna, only Bhakta surrenders to Krishna. And this also we discussed last Sunday evening. Difference between theist, atheist and Bhakta is a beautiful definition. Let us revise it again. You have to make a decision whether you want to enjoy like Krishna or you want to enjoy with Krishna. I'll explain it with an example. Suppose your mother is cooking in the kitchen. You say, Mummy, I also want to cook. Mother will not give you the kitchen. Because small child should not play with fire. Correct? Say even smaller child is there. 2-year-old child. Okay? And he's seeing mother is making gulab jamun. Mummy, I also want to make gulab jamun. He will say. And they, 2-year children are difficult to control. They, if you say no, they will not allow you to cook anything. So you have to satisfy. What a mother will do actually, if she is intelligent, she will give the child a toy kitchen, toy stove. When you switch it on, it will make sound, but no fire is not there. Only it will make some battery sound. The child is very happy and will give something. He is happy some cooking is going on. Nothing is happening. Instead of gulab jamun, something will be there. He is busy. Child is very happy in his dream world. Cooking is going on. Cooking is going on. Sometimes they play the drama. I am the king. He is thinking I am the king. So the drama is going on. So the atheist is that he does not even recognize the fact that this toy kitchen was given by mother. That's an atheist. And on his own, he tries. End result for both this atheist and theist is same, useless. Theist means he recognizes mother gave him the toy kitchen and he's also busy. In between he asks mother, Mummy, namak dalu, sugar dalu, he asks. So this, I'm just saying, mostly so-called astics are also useless because they also want to enjoy like Krishna. Non-devotee, he also wants to do his Rasa Leela like Krishna. He also is organizing his enjoyment. Topmost enjoyment is imitation of Krishna's Rasa Leela. Correct? They're also trying. Therefore, how many times in Mangalore they catch them, all these parties. Correct? Because we try to stop, but he will do it this way or that way. He will somehow do it. In West it is open. You can't stop. Every, children come back home, 15-year-old children. They come back home. Naturally, even the father, suppose the father is a drunkard, he does not want his son to drink. That's the nature. Parents always want the child to be better than them. But in America, they're all drinking. But when their sons start drinking, they can't handle it because naturally, father and mother feel pain. So the child comes back home, 2 o'clock in the night, drunk. They ask the son, where were you, son? You know what he says? 15-year-old boy. Dad, mind your own business. Don't interfere in my life. This was there in Manipal sometime. A girl got involved, was having some co-living going with the boy, and the father came to our center and broke down, started crying. He went to the girl, daughter, what is happening? And she said, mind your own business. He broke down. 18-year-old girl. Such tamasha is going on in this world. So anyway, so we were where? Yeah, toy kitchen. So you want to enjoy like Krishna. Atheist is doing it. Even theist is doing the same thing. But by taking facilities from Krishna. He also is trying to enjoy like Krishna, but by taking from Krishna. Atheist also is taking, but not recognizing them. Theist comes to temple. Krishna, I want to enjoy like you, but give me a toy kitchen. Like that. He's taking facilities. Give me this, give me this. They go to temple, mosque, or church with a list. Give me this, give me this, give me this, give me this. What is the purpose? I want to enjoy like you. I want to imitate your enjoyment. Give me all these facilities now. Little dharmic way I will enjoy like you. That atheist will not follow any rules of dharma. At least, theist will regulate himself. Atheist will not regulate himself also. But the principle is to enjoy like Krishna. That is called Pravritti Marga. Pravritti esha bhutanam nivritti eva mahaphala. You become a bhakta at the moment you come to the marga of nivritti. Nivritta tarashay upigeyamana. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also talks about our marga is vairagya vidya nija bhakti yoga. There is no vairagya for a so-called astic. He is not ready to sacrifice anything for the Lord. He is not interested in the Lord's pleasure. He is interested in his own pleasure. He wants to enjoy like Krishna. He does not want to enjoy with Krishna. Hare Krishna is having his Rasa, let me go play Mridanga. Krishna will be so happy. Correct? Krishna is dancing. Let me play Mridanga. So you are trying to enjoy with Krishna. Hare, let me make a garland. I will give to Radharani. She can give to Krishna. You are trying to enjoy with Krishna. That is with Krishna. Just like mother is cooking. You assist mother in cooking. No, why you want to imitate? Hey mother, just like sometimes you assist, I'll wash something, cut something. That is fine. Why you want to imitate? You can't do it. Krishna is the only enjoyer. Bhokta Ram ekatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Krishna is the only enjoyer. Our only business is to participate in Krishna's enjoyment. We have no business to imitate Krishna. But this thing does not enter the head of even so-called astics. Okay? So mostly people, they may speak whatever philosophy, but you should identify. No need to get angry at somebody. Identify what philosophy is stuck into. Because in India, all the philosophies are there, including atheism of Charvaka Muni. Charvaka Muni speaks a philosophy before Buddha. What is the philosophy? Ridam Katva, Gridam Prived. Yava Jivan, Sukham Jive. Bhasya Bhutasya Dehasya, Kimma Punar Agamam Bhave. You heard this philosophy? Biggest atheist in the history is also from India only. All the philosophies that come from India we can analyze now. Because he says, beg, borrow, steal, eat food made in ghee. The food can be cooked in water, oil or ghee. The worst food is what is cooked in water, simply, anna. Better is one which you make in oil. Best is what you make in ghee, that is called pakwan, all the sweets. So delicious, correct? The highest quality food is made in ghee. So he is giving an example, beg, borrow, steal, eat food made in ghee. That will enjoy nicely your life. And don't bother about that. Bhasmi bhutasya dehasya, because in India bodies are burned. After body is burned, who is coming back? It's all over. Anyway, one day you will die. Enjoy maximum till you die. Enjoy it to the life, to the maximum. Just like the goat. What death? The grass is there today. Enjoy it nicely till you die. Actually, it is not a practical philosophy. Suppose I say I have a gun and I am going to shoot you now within 5 minutes. You can enjoy. So many times they have that. They give the death penalty. They ask a person the last wish. This fellow, somebody writes a letter to his wife. Somebody will say, can I talk to my parents? Some small wish they have. Every country they have the system. Before the death penalty, they ask the person, you have any last wish except being saved from the death penalty. Correct? How about the person? So same way, and can you say at that time, bring some gulab jamun, let me enjoy now, 5 minutes. Nobody will say that. You can't enjoy. So therefore, those people who are like animals actually, they are on a level of insanity. They're trying to enjoy life till death. I don't know what is the percentage. Mostly they are like that. A small percentage you will find who are like Buddhist philosophy. What do? They see death, but they say, no, after death everything is finished. I will get nirvana, some kind of nirvana. And let me be kind to other people. Then it will be better. Let me help other people. And let me do ahimsa. Ahimsa paramo dharma, but definition ahimsa is nursery definition. Higher definition, this definition does not become relevant. Now, a little better people come to another trap, that is a Shankara's trap, another exam. First people you see, Maya's exam, they are not able to come out. Just like unless you pass 10th class, you will not be given the exam of 11th class. True, you are not entitled to that. First pass 10th class. So, the first they have to pass the exam of Maya. And Maya says, isn't enjoying the senses so wonderful? They say yes, they fail the exam. Now next level, Buddha's exam comes. After death, everything is finished. But at least till we are there, let us be merciful to other people. Correct? Yes, correct. Fair. Most of the people, we have met so many respectable people, big doctors in the city. Whenever I talk to them, this is what they speak. After death, everything is finished. Let us be nice and my God is this. I go to some orphanage, give some food. That is my God. I have heard 100 times from those people. You have also heard? And that is it. They fail that exam. They are not entitled for next level. And at least at some level they are. Don't say you are at, you're not bigger in education. They are at some level, but spiritually zero. Now next comes Shankara's exam, where spiritual life starts off. And his exam is this. I am spirit. There is something divinity in me. I am Atma. And Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. I become fully joyful. And there is no fear of death now. There is no fear of the three modes also now. Because once you understand, see, all of us are harassed by death. Correct? Everybody is harassed by death. Death will come at any time. We are all fearful. So Shankara's philosophy is, you are not body, you are an Atma. Once you understand your Atma, fear of death goes away. Like Socrates, one of the person, literally understood. In Western philosophy, mostly rubbish. But Socrates understood one principle, that I am not body, I am Atma. But no knowledge of science of Atma. Nayanam Chandanti Shastrani, no knowledge of Atma. But this conception he got convinced with, I am not body, I am an Atma. I am a soul. So at that moment, a king got very upset with him because he was preaching this philosophy. He said, I'll kill you. He said, if you are soul, you should accept poison. He said, yes. If you insist, yes. He said, I'm going to kill you now. So he started laughing. First find me. How are you going to kill me? First find me. Because he was very convinced, I am not body, I am soul. He took the poison like that. He was not scared. He said, I'm convinced nothing will happen to the soul. So when a person gets understood this fact that he is not the body, his soul, fear of death goes away for him. There is no fear of death. He is very peaceful. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. Bhagavad Gita says that na shojati na kanshati. Samha sarveshu bhuteshu. This much he comes. Not like last line he doesn't come. Madhubhakti Lavate Param is much more. So mostly people get trapped by Shankara's exam that this is everything. I am soul, and sometimes foolishly, they, even though Shankaracharya did not do that, they do that, brings God also to the level of the soul. And then they become not impersonalist, they become Mayavadi. And the Prabhupada becomes so angry at them. They say for them everything is Maya, God is also Maya. Actually the fact is their philosophy is Maya. Very strong statement. Actually the fact is their philosophy is illusion, Maya. Why we call them Mayavadi? Because they bring God to the level of Maya. They say Krishna when he came to this world was affected by Maya, which is very offensive for a Vaishnava to hear. Correct? So therefore we say Mayavadi, Krishna, Aparadi, they are offenders to the Lord. So now this is understood. The mostly people get trapped by Shankara. Max, nobody will escape. They cannot pass this exam of Shankara. Now you can understand this fact. Prabhupada says, last snare of Maya is that you are God. That is the last exam of Maya, which comes through Shankaracharya. What is the exam? You are God. I am soul, and that is everything. Tattvamasi, I am that. And all the acharyas of Madhvacharyas heavily hit that philosophy. So what is this nonsense? Where is Tattvamasi, the main mantra in the Vedas? It's a side mantra. Why has Shankaracharya made it the main mantra? Why has Shankaracharya taken the allegorical meaning of the Vedanta Sutras? Why he has not taken the direct meaning of the Vedanta Sutras? Why he dared to even rearrange the Vedanta Sutras to suit his own? He said Vedavyasa made a mistake and he rearranged some sutras because it's logically going. Sutras are Nyaya Shastra, it's logic. Vedanta Sutra is Nyaya Shastra. It's by logic it is developing. Sambandha Avideya Prayojana. So he said no, Vedavyasa made a mistake, he rearranged certain sutras. He had challenged even the authority of Vedavyasa. Therefore he was rejected by the Vaishnava Acharyas, by these fundamental flaws. And they thoroughly attacked the philosophy from so many angles. Main thing is interpretation. Because Vedanta Sutras are not giving this philosophy, you are God. It's an interpretation. There was a devotee, I don't know, I think I didn't tell you. A same devotee, Rasraj Prabhu. He landed up in Chennai. And he went to a library, and there the person was, generally sometimes librarians are scholars. He was a scholar in Sanskrit. Librarian or somebody, not librarian, maybe some other person, scholar in Sanskrit. And you know, Prabhupada also asked us not to waste our time just learning Sanskrit. They said you just see the word meaning, that was enough to preach. Now generally you will not rarely find, there are some devotees in ISKCON, just like Bhanu Maharaj and all, they are scholars in Sanskrit, but generally no, devotees don't have, we have rigorous work to do, then get into all this thing. Just like even Kirtan. Prabhupada don't bother so much about, sound, musical instrument, no, don't bother so much about it. Your focus should be on pleasing the Lord. So we have no time for all that. To some degree we know the shlokas, but we are not too much into focus into becoming a Sanskrit scholar. But there is a problem here now. Somebody wants to debate with him and he is a Sanskrit scholar. You will get stuck sometime. So that person said, now my proposal is this. Discussion started. Through all the Vedas, Krishna says in Gita, self has to be known. He said, where? Such a thing is. Yeah. 15:15. What is the shloka? 15 chapter 15 shloka. Vedesh sarve ahame vived. See, through all the Vedas, self has to be known. So my God, now how to answer it? Correct? Aham means self. Then say Krishna, Prabhupada, he was a young devotee that time, please save me. So many people are watching now. And I have to argue with him. Aham means self, correct? How do I argue now? Then he said suddenly, tingle. What is the next line? Vedesh sarve aham vedya Vedanta krit Veda videva chaham. He said, why next line he forgot? He answered. Because this Krishna is saying Vedanta krit Ved Vid Eva Aham. So he said, what is that Aham mentioned in the second shloka? Is that who is the compiler of the Vedanta? Vedanta Krit, Veda Vid, who knows the Vedas. So this is the Aham Krishna. This is Krishna, not you. Through all the Vedas, Krishna. This Aham refers to whom? That becomes a question, no? He says, Vedesha Sarve Aham Evave. Through all the Vedas, I have to be known. He said, interpret it like that. But it's a new interpretation. But the fact is that through the Vedas, Krishna has to be known. Because the Aham is qualified in the next verse, Vedanta Krit, and a Veda Vid, who knows the Vedas. So that is not us. We have not compiled the Vedas at least. So this is, we have to be therefore very mature in understanding Krishna consciousness and clearly identify when we talk to people, what is this actually? Oh, he's an atheist? Charvaka Muni. Deal with it. Oh, he's a Buddhist? Deal with it. And he's a Shankara. And people, some people fail at Charvaka level itself. They accept that philosophy. Some people fail at Buddhist level. Some people fail at Shankara's exam. Charvaka's exam is what? Nothing. Just enjoy life. Forget everything. And Buddha exam is be nice, be good, don't steal. Because Charvaka says, Ridam Kritva, you beg, borrow, steal, do whatever, enjoy life. That is sinful. And Buddhists actually enjoy nicely. And then comes Shankara exam, that at that level you understand your spirit. And then we come to Bhakti. Even in Bhakti, the first platform is this: use God to imitate God. So that is the first level. That also we should come. We should come to the level of Nivritti. So that is the highest platform. And here, what is being said? In the transcendental stage of Labdhopashanti, that is the highest stage. What happens? There is no, I'll just now see the purport and see if I missed anything. There is no supremacy of the devastating time, which controls even the celestial demigods who are empowered to rule over mundane creatures. So there is no fear of time. When we come to complete Krishna consciousness, is a natural stage of fearlessness also. Devotee has no fear. Why he has no fear? Because he knows Krishna is there. Once, Prabhupada was in Bombay, in the Juhu, Prabhupada was on a morning walk with his devotees. So he saw, a man, fat man, with an equally fat dog, and the dog is so confidently walking. At the same time, Prabhupada saw, the beach, there are always the stray dogs running. And what people do, they take a stone and they throw. Prabhupada said, learn something from this. What? Don't remain anath like that stray dog. Become sanath. There is a difference. Anath. Anath means who doesn't have parents. So our real protection is actually Krishna. If you become a dog of Krishna and completely take shelter of Krishna, you can be completely fearless. Like the dog by the master, as a symbolism, is fearless. He is not worried about his food. He is not worried about his shelter. He knows the master will take care. Correct? The same way today, if you do not take shelter of Krishna, most of the people today, Prabhupada, when he went to West, Prabhupada says, I see them actually, their features are good. They look from good homes. But look at their faces. They are so disturbed. They are so confused. They are so hopeless. And Prabhupada said, daily I am receiving millions of letters, thousands of letters. How much people are finding hope in Krishna consciousness. Because as much materialism you may do, there is no hope finally. Finally death is there. What is the hope remaining? No hope actually. People have no hope unless they come to Krishna consciousness. Life has no meaning unless they come to Krishna consciousness. Correct? Suppose somebody said this example, that I am going to make a building. And why are you making this building? Now after I make the building, I'll burn the building. What's the use? So similarly, people know whatever I do, finally it will be burned. I will also be burned, whatever I do will also burn. Actually, it is a very painful condition at the point of death. Therefore, Krishna says what? Mrityu sarva harashaham. Everything I will take away at the point of death. Everything. Your video game, your laptop, everything I will take at the time of death. Whatever you think is the source of your enjoyment, I will take away. Correct? Children may have certain things, we may have certain things for enjoyment. Sarva. Sarva means everything will be taken away. That is what Krishna is saying. So how can somebody be fearless? Only when he has taken shelter of Krishna. Yes, Krishna. Every moment, whatever is happening in my life, you are in control. I have no fear now. You are in complete control of the situation, and as far as possible, I will surrender to you. And that is why Prabhupada proves, somebody was saying why this is the only Bhagavad Gita. Yes, what happened to Arjuna after hearing Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. It is not an armchair philosophy Prabhupada wants in the introduction of Gita. It is not an armchair philosophy. People take wine and cigarette and they discuss Gita. It is not meant for that. What happened to Arjuna when he heard Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna had his own plan, Krishna had another plan in the beginning, correct? What happened after he heard Bhagavad Gita? Karishye vachanam tava. He surrendered to Krishna. I will just follow you, Krishna. So, let us make a test. Everything has to prove by result. We discussed in the beginning itself. We have to attract by result. No. Let us make a challenge in the whole world. Please show any Bhagavad Gita which has made people surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada says before this Bhagavad Gita introduced in the Western countries, at least not one person surrendered. We don't want to name those fellows, Anandas and so many people went. They said they did this, that, nothing they did. By hearing them, not one person surrendered to Krishna, not one. Not one. No change in the consciousness. Correct? Anybody surrendered? No. You see the revolution which was created. We were also born in India. We thought Krishna is one of the gods. What surrender to God? If he is one of the gods, so the very focus of surrender goes away. It's, Prabhupada says servant of everybody means servant of none. And the politicians say, I am servant of everybody. That means servant of none. That's a philosophical analysis. Somebody says I am servant of everybody means he is servant of none. So in the same way, what we can understand is that Bhagavad Gita is proved to act. The result should be there. Okay? So we should understand the result. By result we can understand Bhagavad Gita is very, very effective. Nor is there a mode of material goodness, passion and ignorance. Three modes will not act when you come to the platform of Krishna consciousness. They will not act. Correct? Even at the level of Shankara philosophy, three modes stop to act. Because Brahma Bhuta, na shochiti na kanshiti. There is no action of the three modes. Nor even false ego, ahankara. That doesn't go away in the level of Shankara philosophy in some sense, because that ahankara, desire to enjoy life, Krishna stays. And that is why they, I am God. Prabhupada says that thing doesn't go away. Nor the material causal ocean, nor the material nature. So that is how Prabhupada says devotees advance. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.